They told you Machiavelli was a relic, a cynical Florentine who whispered to corrupt princes in a distant age. They told you his lessons were historical curiosities, too dark, too cruel, too outdated for modern democracy. They lied. Machiavelli never left. His hand still moves across the world, invisible yet unmistakable, guiding presidents, prime ministers, billionaires, generals, and the entire machinery of power you think is progress. Look closely, and you will see. The prince never died. He simply changed his mask. We imagine that we live in a world of freedom, of choice, of morality. But behind the language of rights and justice, behind the banners of democracy and progress, the old rules of Machiavelli still dominate. Power does not care about morality. Power does not care about truth. Power cares only about survival, about appearance, about manipulation. And the men and women who rise to the top know this. They may smile in public, but they read the prince in private. Consider Machiavelli's most infamous claim, that it is safer for a ruler to be feared than loved. In public, every politician swears they want your love. They kiss babies, shake hands, preach about unity. But in private, they build surveillance systems, militarize police forces, intelligence networks. They ensure that even if love fades, fear remains. They understand, as Machiavelli did, that love is fragile, but fear endures. And so modern politics is built on a double structure: the public theater of love and the hidden machinery of fear. Another lesson: appearances matter more than reality. Machiavelli told his prince to seem virtuous while practicing whatever vice was necessary. And today, do you not see the same? Leaders speak endlessly of transparency while concealing secrets in classified vaults. They talk of peace while selling weapons. They preach about equality while hoarding wealth. They wear the mask of morality not because they believe in it, but because the herd needs to see it. Machiavelli knew the people do not see reality. They see appearances. And so, appearances are the true currency of power. Even the very structure of democracy follows Machiavelli's script. He warned that rulers must distract the people with festivals, spectacles, and appearances of participation. What is the modern election cycle but this? Endless campaigns, debates, slogans, promises, spectacles to make the masses believe they matter, while the machinery of power continues untouched. Machiavelli would laugh at our parliaments and congresses. He would see them for what they are: theaters where actors compete for the crown, while the real rules of power remain the same as in Florence 5 centuries ago. Machiavelli also warned that rulers must always be prepared to betray allies, break promises, and discard morality when necessary. He did not say this to encourage cruelty, but to describe reality. And look at today's world. Alliances shift overnight. Treaties are abandoned. Leaders break promises as casually as changing clothes. Do you really think this is incompetence? It is Machiavelli's hand. He taught that stability requires flexibility, that promises are tools, not chains. Those who cling to morality are destroyed. Those who wield it as a mask endure. The most disturbing part is how invisible this has become. Because Machiavelli's lessons have been so deeply absorbed into modern politics that we no longer recognize them. We take them for granted. We believe it is natural for leaders to lie, to manipulate, to flatter, to betray. We laugh at their scandals as if corruption is a joke, not realizing we are laughing at Machiavelli's victory. The prince still rules, but now his disguise is democracy itself. And yet, the people still cling to illusions. They want to believe in heroes, in saviors, in leaders who are different. Every election cycle they tell themselves, this time it will change. This time we will have honesty. This time we will have justice. And every time the cycle repeats. Promises made, promises broken, appearances maintained, power preserved. The herd cannot see the invisible hand. But if you read Machiavelli, you will never unsee it again. So ask yourself, do you really live in a new world, or just in a theater where old truths wear new masks? Do you truly believe morality governs politics, or have you already seen the strings? Comment below. Do you think politics is driven by morality or by survival? Subscribe if you want to keep tearing away the masks of power. Share this with someone who still believes in political saviors, and watch how quickly they defend their illusions. Because Machiavelli is not dead. He is alive in every speech, every law, every promise, every betrayal. The prince never left. He just learned to smile while tightening the leash. If you want to see Machiavelli's invisible hand at work today, do not just look at elections or speeches. Look at the machinery beneath, the propaganda systems, the media manipulation, the crafting of enemies, the illusions of choice. Machiavelli's lessons were never meant only for princes of Florence. They were meant for anyone who understood the nature of survival in politics. And those who rule now follow his script with uncanny precision. Machiavelli taught that rulers must control perception above all. Reality matters less than belief. What people think is what rules them. 5 centuries later, this has become the very foundation of modern propaganda. Entire industries exist to manufacture appearances, to control narratives, to make lies indistinguishable from truth. Governments, corporations, political parties all know the same law. If you can shape the story, you do not need to control reality. The story is reality for the masses. Look at the media. Every day you are bombarded with images, headlines, sound bites. Do you think this is neutral? It is orchestration. Politicians do not simply rule with laws, they rule with perception. They understand, as Machiavelli did, that appearances are more powerful than reality. If they are seen as strong, they are strong. If they are seen as weak, they fall. And so, billions are spent not on truth, but on image. It is not about what is, it is about what seems. Machiavelli also wrote that rulers must always provide the people with enemies. Why? Because fear unifies. Love is fickle, but fear binds. And in modern politics, the creation of enemies is constant. Terrorists, immigrants, rival nations, ideological others. The names change, but the logic is the same. The herd must be made to fear, because fear makes them obedient. And when they fear, they turn to the ruler for safety. Machiavelli knew this in Florence. Leaders know it now in Washington, Beijing, Moscow, and every capital in the world. Fear is the invisible chain. You see this in every war on terror, every campaign against an invasion, every speech about threats to freedom, stability, or morality. The enemy may be external, or it may be internal, but the rule is the same. Power thrives on fear. Even when the threat is exaggerated, even when it is invented, the effect is real. People surrender freedoms, accept surveillance, obey commands, all because they fear. This is Machiavelli's lesson alive and well. Fear is safer than love. And notice this, the enemy never disappears. When one threat ends, another emerges. When one war concludes, another begins. Because without fear, the machinery of power weakens. The herd might start to ask questions. The prince cannot allow that. Fear must always be present. It is the background noise of politics, the drumbeat that keeps obedience alive. Another Machiavellian rule, keep the people distracted with spectacle. In Renaissance Florence, this meant festivals and games. In modern democracies, it means endless news cycles, political theater, scandals, and outrage. The herd is kept entertained, enraged, or distracted, so they never look at the machinery itself. They think politics is the debate they see on TV, not realizing that the real deals are made behind closed doors. The spectacle is the mask. The hidden hand works behind it. Do you not see how elections themselves have become spectacles? Endless debates about personalities, scandals, gestures, while the deeper structures never change. Policies remain untouched. Power remains centralized. The same families, corporations, and networks rule regardless of which mask the herd chooses. Machiavelli would recognize this instantly. He would say, "The prince has learned to wear many faces, but the throne is always the same." Machiavelli also warned that rulers must appear merciful, faithful, humane, and religious, but be ready to do the opposite when necessary. And today's leaders master this double life. They preach about human rights while arming dictators. They speak of peace while selling weapons. They demand morality while drowning in corruption. But the appearances are enough. The herd sees the mask and believes it. And when the mask slips, the herd forgets quickly because a new spectacle arrives to replace it. This too is Machiavelli's wisdom. Memory is short. Manipulate it, and you survive. You might ask, is this manipulation unique to politics? No. It permeates every domain where power is at stake. Corporations use Machiavellian tactics to dominate markets, manipulating consumers with illusions of choice, while crushing competition behind the scenes. Media networks manipulate outrage to control attention, because attention is the currency of obedience. Even culture itself has been weaponized. Artists, celebrities, influencers playing the role of distractions, keeping the herd fixated on trivial battles while the machinery of power turns silently. And yet the people still cling to illusions. They still believe they are free because they can vote. They still believe they are informed because they have news. They still believe they have choice because they can buy. They do not see the invisible hand. They do not realize that the same tricks Machiavelli whispered to his prince are still whispered today, only amplified by technology, perfected by psychology, made invisible by repetition. This is the true genius of modern power. It no longer hides Machiavelli's hand. It normalizes it. People expect manipulation. They expect betrayal. They expect appearances to matter more than reality. They laugh at it, shrug at it, even cheer for it. They think cynicism is wisdom, not realizing cynicism is just another form of obedience. Machiavelli would smile. His lessons have been so absorbed into modern life that they no longer shock. They are simply how the world works. So what do you do with this knowledge? Do you turn away pretending morality still rules politics? Do you cling to illusions of honesty and justice, waiting for a savior? Or do you open your eyes and admit the truth, that Machiavelli's invisible hand still moves the world, and that only by seeing it can you stop being manipulated by it? Comment below. Do you believe fear is still the strongest tool in politics today? Subscribe if you want to keep unmasking the illusions of modern power. Share this with someone who insists democracy killed Machiavelli, and watch their denial crack. Because the truth is this: the prince never died. He just learned to wear 1,000 masks. The truth you must face is this: Machiavelli is not just in palaces or parliaments. His lessons are not confined to presidents, dictators, or billionaires. They seep into everything. Because politics is not only what happens in capitals, it is what happens wherever humans gather, wherever power must be fought for, wherever survival demands masks. The prince is not just a leader. The prince is a structure, a role, a pattern. And that pattern has never left us. Look at your workplace. Does the best rise to the top? Or does the one who manages appearances better? Who is rewarded? The honest worker who follows rules, or the one who flatters, networks, manipulates? Machiavelli would not be surprised. He wrote that merit alone does not guarantee success. Appearances, alliances, deception, these are the tools of ascent. What you call office politics is nothing more than the prince in miniature. Look at your relationships. How many people wear masks to survive in love, in friendship, in family? They hide parts of themselves. They manipulate. They control through guilt or fear. Even intimacy is not free from Machiavelli's hand. Power dynamics exist in every bond, and those who deny it are the ones most easily controlled. The prince is not just in presidents. He is in lovers, in bosses, in parents, in you. This is the uncomfortable truth. Machiavelli was not writing only for rulers. He was writing about human nature itself. The herd prefers to believe in morality, honesty, and virtue. But beneath the surface, survival depends on cunning, on strength, on masks. And the individuals who see this clearly, whether in politics or in personal life, are the ones who rule. Those who do not are ruled. That is why the prince remains feared, because it does not flatter humanity. It strips us naked. It says, you are not guided by morality. You are guided by fear, by ambition, by survival. And if you want to thrive, you must stop lying to yourself. This is why the book was banned, cursed, burned, because it reveals the truth the herd cannot bear. Power is not moral, and morality is not powerful. And here is the final revelation. The invisible hand of Machiavelli is not only a tool of rulers, it is a mirror. It forces you to ask, are you being manipulated, or are you the one who sees through the masks? Do you live in illusions of love and morality, or do you see the machinery of fear and appearance moving beneath? Do you wait for saviors, or do you become your own prince? Because here is the harshest truth of all. If you refuse to play the game, you are not innocent. You are prey. The herd thinks that rejecting power makes them pure. It does not. It makes them weak, easy to rule, destined to obey the ones who understand Machiavelli's hand. You do not escape power by denying it. You escape only by mastering it. And mastery begins with vision, the ability to see masks as masks, promises as bait, morality as a tool. Once you see this, you cannot unsee it. Every political speech becomes transparent. Every advertisement becomes a manipulation. Every promise becomes a test of appearances versus reality. You stop being the herd. You start becoming dangerous. This is why Machiavelli still matters. Because he gives you the choice. Remain blind, ruled by illusions, or sharpen your sight and enter the game. The herd will always choose blindness, because blindness is comfortable. They will cling to morality even as they are enslaved by it. They will hope for saviors even as they are betrayed by them. They will mock you for your clarity, call you cynical, call you cruel. But their insults are proof they are still kneeling before illusions. You are not. So what will you do? Will you keep pretending politics is ruled by virtue, that your leaders are different, that morality governs power? Or will you admit the darker truth, that Machiavelli's invisible hand still moves the world, and that only by learning his lessons can you stop being ruled by them? This is not about becoming evil. It is about becoming free. Evil is the name the herd gives to anyone who refuses illusions. To see clearly is to be hated. To act with clarity is to be feared. And yet, this is the only path to freedom. The prince never died. His throne is everywhere. His rules are everywhere. His hand is invisible, but it guides the world you live in. And now that you see it, you must choose. Do you remain among the herd, ruled and comforted by illusions, or do you step into clarity, hated but free? Comment below. Are you ready to admit Machiavelli was right, or will you keep clinging to illusions? Subscribe if you want to keep tearing away the masks of modern power. Share this with someone who still believes politics is ruled by morality, and watch how they resist. Because 5 centuries later, Machiavelli still rules. The prince never left. And now the question is simple. Will you keep serving him blindly, or will you learn to become one yourself?